We remained number one on the search engine, the World Wide Web, for 3 to 4 years in a row when I owned my previous brick and mortar service based business. I knew nothing about building a website, but I studied and learned. I didn't even know what SEO was. I just followed instructions. We were skilled and professional with many repeat customers in my business, but we gained a lot of clients via our website. At the time, the lowest you could get a website built was $6,000 to $7,000. I'd saved money and moved into my brick and mortar service based business completely debt free and just couldn't see a space to spend that much at that time. This was when you didn't have to have a this was when you didn't have I was getting ready to say have to have, but you didn't even have a website template. You still had to do some coding. Although I didn't know how, I knew I could figure it out. I built my own website. That is a growth mindset. Now, I'm not a DIY girl naturally. I like convenience and pay experts for things that aren't in my wheelhouse. But I couldn't see letting that hold me back at that time, where $6,000 to $7,000 was out of the range for me, seeing as though I had saved money to move into my brick and mortar service based business debt free. I didn't owe anyone for it. There was no leasing things. Now, do I go around building websites for people? Absolutely not. That is not my wheelhouse. It's not my zone of genius. I do share what I know and learn inside my academy modules, but it's not something I'm doing for others or focusing on. Three things I hope you'll take away from this conversation. Number one, a growth mindset is needed in entrepreneurship. A fixed mindset says, I don't know how, and then never try. If you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. Secondly, there are things you may DIY in the early stages of business, but your goal should be to hire out so you can buy back your time, not create yet another job for yourself. Number three, just because you know how doesn't mean it needs to be something you offer consistently or even something you advertise. Niching out, highlighting your specialties makes it easier to attract clients. Now, I want you to think about this from a growth mindset perspective. There are some things that you're avoiding doing simply because you don't know how. But when you are in the energy of a growth mindset, it's not whether or not you know how to do it. You figure it out, you find a way. You don't always have to be the one to know how. You know how to hire someone to do it. But don't let something that you're not knowledgeable about keep you from the next level of your goal. Secondly, your zone of genius. Listen, I told you I built my first website. It did absolutely amazing. We stayed in the top of the search engine, like number one, not the top five, number one. If you click our category, we were at the top for 3 to 4 years in a row. It brought us in a lot of clients. But that is not my zone of genius. So, no, I'm not out marketing. Let me build your website for you, things of that nature, right? Because it's not my zone of genius. And so many people are good at quite a few things, but good is not the same as great. And what you should be highlighting as your zone of genius is what you are great at. It is something I help my clients to uncover, tap into, and cultivate their zones of genius. I take them through the renew concept, and boom, we figure that part out so that they're not all over the place. So I want you to have a growth mindset from here on out, which I'm sure you do, but there's even another level you can tap into with that, and then focus on allowing someone to support you in understanding what your zone of genius is. The more you specialize, the more you niche out, the quicker, sooner, and simpler you attract your most premium clients. That's my take on today. I'm Tanya Wilson, also known as the Growth Strategist, business consultant, and mindset coach. I help women just like you. I support them in stepping into their personal power, scaling their business, and creating lifestyles they love. If you're looking for added support, go to renewfullcircle.com.